Well, welcome to another edition of 42nd Street Pete's Grindhouse with a road story. And how about how to stock a video store? A used video store, that is. That was my dilemma, or not really, but it was a dilemma at points because when I had the Past Midnight video booth in Rockaway, it was pretty big, more than 1,000 tapes in stock. But then I was also doing the outdoor markets too, so I had to have stock with that. So basically had to have a shitload of tapes laying around. And like I said, the porn was no problem. I had, plenty of places to get porn. It was the regular stuff that, every once in a while was the problem. So I would, go over to liquidators, go here, go there, and dealing with a bunch of people. And one day I went there was a Blockbuster up the street from me, and I went in there for some reason one day, and they must have bought out RKO. That's the only thing I could think of, because they had a bunch of big box stuff, anywhere from $1.99 to $3.99. And what happened was, Video Shack was the big one back in the day, but Blockbuster came in backed by corporate whatever, and Video Shack was actually owned by Arthur Morowitz of Video X Pix, DistraPix, Coliseum Video, whatever. So the whole thing with the way they operated was they had all their porn under glass where you had to ask for it. For some strange reason, when RKO sold all their freestanding theaters to acquire Video Shack, they left the porn out in the open in the aisles. So you'd have like Bad News Bears and Girls Who Like Big Black Dicks next to each other. Shit like that. So it sort of knocked them out and they folded up. Now, I don't know, I'm guessing that Blockbuster must have bought all the locations or something, but all I know is when I saw that deal and I asked the clerk, they got any more of this, he goes, well, there's a lot of it in other stores. So I basically got in my car and hit every Blockbuster in a 50-mile radius and cleaned all the cult stuff out of these bins. I mean, like Wizard video boxes, those hard Amaray boxes, the Thorny MI. I mean, at the end of the day, I probably came back with 400 or 500 tapes, which I stocked in my store. And there was another thing I used to do. I don't know if I told you about, I might have said this before about Primetime Video. They were the people that basically got tapes into supermarkets for rentals. Well, dealing with Johnny Z, as I call him, his real name was Zukowski, I think, like that. His price would depend on what he had for breakfast in the morning. So sometimes it was reasonable, sometimes it was out and out unreasonable. But one day I'm driving home from somewhere and I'm coming down Route 23 and there's a flea market. So of course I stop. And I find this guy with a shitload of tapes and they all had Primetime Video stickers on it. So I started talking to the guy and he goes, well, I don't want to sell him back to Zuck because he beats me on the price. I said, how about we make a deal right here and now that every time you do a cleanup, you call me up and I'll give you $5 across the board, no questions asked. Of course, you get a certain amount of shit, but you get a lot of A stuff, and that's what people, a lot of my walk-ins wanted A titles, that type of stuff, where my regular customers wanted the cult stuff. So I would get a call every 4 or 5 months to go down to this guy where his main thing was an air conditioning repair, and go up in this room and basically take whatever I wanted for $5. Well, one day I noticed that there was 5 banana boxes full of flattened out VHS display boxes. And I said, well, what's with them? And he goes, oh, the tapes got stolen or disappeared, I'm going to throw them out. I go, can I have them? And he goes, sure, save me the trouble of throwing them in a dumpster. So I took these things home and I made a list in a little spiral notebook of all these boxes I had. Now, going to liquidators. In front of his counters in the back, toward what would become my section, the adult section, he had 50 boxes of VHS tapes, boxes that held 50 tapes. They were unboxed though, and they were stacked 4 or 5 high in front of the counter so customers could browse. So what I would do was, I'd become, friendly with the guy who had the parking lot up the street. So I'd get there when he opened, which was 7 o'clock in the morning, and I'd tell him, okay, I'm probably going to blow out of here around noon, so he'd stick the thing in the back and eventually move it up, so around noon or 1 o'clock I could blow out of there. So I would basically sit there as long as it took to go through all these boxes and match up unbox tapes with my list. And then go home and rebox them. And it was like, he charged me $1 for the unboxed tapes. And I put them in the box and I got $10 for them. So it was a wonderful fucking deal. And that's how it worked. And this kept constant and constant and constant until the whole flea market thing took shit to bed because somebody wanted to sell it to a management company. The management company wanted everybody to leave for 3 months so they could renovate it, come back at 3 times the rent. And I basically said, I'm out of here in 3 months. I have no business. And at that point, it was starting to taper off anyway. There was some kind of change going on. But anyway, I was forced to liquidate my whole store. I basically managed to sell all the cult horror and stuff like that, about 1,000 tapes for $4,000 to one person. And the other stuff I sort of took a beating on, and then, as you all know, I wound up working for New York City Liquidators, and a ton of stories from that. But that's a little inkling of how I worked around stocking my video store, and just kept on restocking and restocking and restocking. And it was, like I said, was a great business. It's one of the few things I did that I never lost a nickel on. So that's our show for today. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for tuning in. We're into the new year, so let's hope it's a good one. Fingers fucking crossed. But anyway, stay safe. Hope you had a good New Year's Eve, and we'll catch you on the flip side.